Okay, whenever you have an emergency, and an emergency means medical, abuse, or neglect, or some kind of risk to self or others, that's an emergency. So whenever you have a MAR, then you're going to skip past the validate of the very late acronym. You are instead going to go to either explore or refer. So whenever there's an emergency, which is a MAR, where do we go? We go to the ER. That's just an acronym though. We want to explore or refer. So whenever we have a MAR, we explore or refer first. Whether it's a first, next, should, best, whatever, doesn't matter question. We're going to explore or refer. So how do we decide whether to refer and whether to explore? Which comes first? Which is the next best option? If it is a medical problem, then you should refer to a doctor because we don't know what's going on for them, right? So if there's medical, you want to refer. Okay? We're not going to worry about the time right now. Medical, we want to refer. What about abuse? Well, probably, if there is not a clear disclosure or evidence of abuse, which on the exam there usually is not, then we want to explore first. But that's only if it's unclear. Sorry, my hand slipped there. If it's unclear, we should explore. But if it's clear, like there's a handprint on the person's face, or they disclose to us that abuse has occurred, or in this case with this woman, there's incontinence happening, she's disheveled, she's got dementia, she's not been cared for, she's dehydrated, then we would I'm just saying I would refer first, but this one gives us the option to do explore or refer or both. So since our answer key in that case give us the option to explore or refer or both, then we would want to do both. But most of the time, if we have clear abuse, we want to refer at the very least. Refer at the very least. So if there's a disclosure or clear evidence, you refer first. If not, you explore first. Okay, then the next one, risk to self or others. If there's risk to self or others, then you want to read the question stem carefully. If the stem of the question says that they have any of the following, the means, the access, or a plan to harm themselves or others, then we would, you guessed it, refer. So keep this simple. When someone has a map, we want to refer. Okay? If they have a map, we refer first. Skip past exploring. If there's something medical, we refer first. That's why I put 2 M's. If we don't have a map in the stem of the question, then, you guessed it, we want to explore first. Okay? Why do we want to explore first? Because we're trying to find out if we have a map. And that's how we come full circle. Okay? So after you read a question, you look at the stem of the question. You think to yourself, who's the client? Who am I? What's the problem? Then you read the question. What is it asking me to do? Then you think to yourself, is there a MAR here? Is there a MAR here? Do I have a medical situation? Do I have an abuse or neglect situation? Do I have a risk to self or others situation? If I do, then I need to go right to explore or right to refer. If I have a medical situation, I go right to referring. If I have an abuse or neglect situation that has been clearly disclosed, I go right to referring. If I have substance abuse and I am not a substance abuse provider, then I go right to referring. But if I don't have a clear indication that there's been abuse, I just suspect something a little bit vaguely, then I should explore first. If I have a risk to self or others, where in the stem of the question, they indicate that the person has the means, the access, or a plan, then I refer immediately. If the risk to self or others is more vague, unclear, then I explore first so that I can then see if they have the means, the access, or a plan. If they have the means, the access, or a plan, I then refer to an involuntary hospitalization, an emergency psychiatric evaluation, or an involuntary hospitalization, whatever the word phrasing is for those, that same thing. Send them to the hospital, basically. With substance abuse, if it does not say that I am a substance abuse provider, then I'm not. If it doesn't say they were sent to me for substance abuse, then I am not. And then I should refer them to someone who is. If I have domestic violence, that's the same as abuse. When they say a couple is fighting, they mean physical fighting. Then I would immediately refer, because they're fighting. The main exception to this is going to be if I have a person who is elderly or lesbian, gay, transgendered, bisexual questioning, then in that case, whether they have a map or not, as long as there's a concern that they might be at risk for suicide, sorry, not homicide, risk for suicide. As long as I think they might be at risk for suicide, then, which would mean just if they're depressed at all, really, if they're depressed at all, because they're considered at-risk groups for this test purposes, then I'm going to refer them for an involuntary hospitalization. So that's the exception. Okay. Hopefully that helps. Yay. Woo woo. You guys are going to get this. So remember, first step, MAR. Then MAP. And then explore or refer. That's one major thing to know. And that should be actually your main bag of tricks other than validate, explore, refer, the very late acronym. So if you don't have a MAR, then you're just going to go through this straight order, straight down the line in that order. If you don't have a MAR, it's going to go straight down. Validate, explore, refer, educate, lay the foundation for the client to feel empowered, advocate, and then treat. I'll leave it up there for a moment and let that absorb. Okay, so you're going to read the question. STEM. Slowly. And out loud under your breath. Step number 1. Step number 2, summarize. Right? Summarize. I apologize. I do not have very good hands as a quadriplegic, but I'm doing my best. Ah, my hand slipped. Sorry. Okay. Step 3. What is the question really asking me? Let's say that will be the first, next, what are we talking about, right? Should, best, all that good stuff. Should, da, 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 da. Okay, and then you're going to go to your map. Oh, your MAR, sorry, MAR. And then your map. Now, remember, if you don't have a MAR, then you're going to go to very late. So I'm just going to write that in right there. But if you do have a MAR, then you're going to skip past number 5. You're going to kind of just go around it a little bit. And you're going to go right to, you're really just going by the V. I don't know how to, I don't really know how to graphically do that, but you're going to skip past the V and go right to the E and the R for step 6. Okay, so just remember step 6 is the E and the R come first. All right, hopefully that makes sense. I know it's a little bit convoluted there. I'll make it look nicer for you another time. Okay.